Hello and welcome. Today we'll be talking about the Yaesu VX7r. This is a quad band ham radio. It covers 2 meters, 1.25 meters, 70 centimeters, and 6 meters. It's quite a rugged HT and it is submersible. It has a wideband reception as well, and it also features multiple antenna options and mounting options as well as battery options for the radio itself. It features 2 radios inside of it, a main and a sub radio, as they call it, or an A and B radio. It can also receive broadcast stations, and it's very rugged and geared towards the outdoors. It's been around since about 2002, and you can still find these on eBay, although they do cost a little bit more money nowadays. And the radio has some really good features that can lend itself to emergency preparedness, hiking, and mainly outdoor use, but it's also good for a general scanner, and you can program frequencies into it via the front panel or on the computer. Here on the table we have a variety of radios. Starting from left to right, we have the Yaesu VX7r, a quad band radio, and then we have 2 center ones, which are the VX7rs. It comes in black and in silver. And then we have the Kenwood TH F6a, which is noted for its wideband reception capability. For size comparison, we have it on the table here to compare to the VX7rs and the VX8r. Now the VX8r here on the left is the progression in terms of technology. We have it here because it is a quad band radio, and it is the direct successor of the VX7rs, and it has the most comparison as they are both submersible units. Here we can see the Yaesu VX7r, the front part of it, DTMF keypad, the main and sub buttons here for the different radios, the power button, LED. On the top here we have the rotary encoder knob on the outside and a volume knob on the inside here. And then we have a micro speaker port on top of here. We have the antenna port. On the side here we have the PTT and the monitor button. And on the back we have the battery latch here in the bottom and the mounting point for the clip here and the information on the model. On the side we have the DC input, and we have a lanyard mounting point. As we can see on the front here, we have a variety of information on this radio. It shows us the memory recall, or the channel number here, MR2. The frequency on channel 2 is 446.000. And then we have a label here, which I put second. And then we have battery type, lithium ion at 8.1 volts here, the mode at narrow FM mode, the main VFO, or the main radio, referring to the A radio, A, or in this case, now the sub radio here. You can just switch it back and forth, or you can push and hold down and have both radios active. When I'm operating this, I typically keep it in one mono active radio. So there's quite a few things about having the information on the screen here, which is quite impressive for a 2002 era piece of technology. And this helps identify the channel, the type of channel that you're on, and the frequency of that channel. Let's go ahead and do the VFO mode here. And right now we're in a broadcast station on AM. The reception's not that great right now because we have a lot of interfering noises here. But if we push the band button here, we can rotate our different bands we can listen to. This is for a short wave band here. You can change that up and down the HF bands. This is going to be FM broadcast. And that's going to be another UHF band here. Then it goes to 6 meters here. 2 meters. 1.25 meters. Then we have 70 centimeters. And then we have aircraft band here. And then a bunch of other bands as well to listen to. And then back to the bottom band there. Push VM to get back to the memory mode here. Now to get to the special receiving stations, we push function and 9. And it's going to give you special memory banks. You have 1 for number off. Number 2 has your memory recall group. Number 3 has the OTM group. And 4 has the hyper group. And then number 5 has the broadcast stations that are pre-programmed into here. We're going to go into that. And we're receiving right now So these stations are pre-programmed and labeled. This would typically stand for Voice of America at the time, back when they made the radio. And then we have Canada, BBC, France, other types of countries out there. But some of these labels aren't that accurate anymore as they change frequencies over time. And again, this is 23 years old, so it's not going to be up to date with these frequency listings usually. But you can receive shortwave on this radio and these pre-programmed frequencies if you want to do that. Function and again, special channel. We can go into marine channels, which we can listen to marine frequencies. So if you're by the water, you can listen to different marine frequencies of people on the boats. Can come in handy for an emergency or for listening to any Mayday calls potentially. Again, we'll get out of that and we'll go back to putting the memory off for now. You can also pre-program those memories in the VFO mode directly, so you don't have to go into the special memory mode. For example, you can do a marine frequency here, and it's already in there. You can just simply type it in and pull it up on the VFO. Now, this is only possible with the main VFO here. The sub has a more limited frequency range and sensitivity. But once again, you can also run both the VFO and the sub, the main and sub VFOs here. So you can change one to memory, and the other one can be on the VFO. So you can do a variety of different things with this radio. Now, it's important to note that the sensitivities of both radios running inside this small unit will interfere with each other at some point, and you may get some sort of weird noises or static with that. So keep that in mind. Back on the main radio, the main or the A radio, we have quite a few memories in here. You have about 400 programmable direct entry memories, and plus these special memories as well with this radio. And in here, we'll see a different mark. This little arrow means that this is a memory that I have in the radio, and when I want to scan, it's going to skip that one. This mark here means it's preferential. So if I'm going to scan on the preferential channel like this, it's going to do all the channels that have that little icon on it, as opposed to every single piece of memory inside the radio. So it's a way to kind of prioritize certain frequencies that you might want to scan first, or just scan only in that case. Now, for example, if I scan a frequency that doesn't have that, it's going to do all those frequencies minus the one with the little arrow on it. So that's how the scanning works with the VX7r. It's quite useful, quite versatile in the field. Now, to get to the menu, we push function and 0, and I get into the menu here. And I have this channel set up as MERS. I put the name there, memory channel right. We have preferential scan, so that, again, that comes down to having that icon on there or not. You can change it to skip or off as regular, or you can put it back on preferential. I keep on preferential on that channel. We have a bunch of other options, as we can see inside the menu here. So it's an older menu that scrolls, and it's a little archaic in this day and age, but for its time, it was better than nothing. And given that some of the other menus from back then were similar, so this was sort of the kind of way they did things. So that is our menu section there. Now we also have weather receiving on here. We'll push function and 3 to get to the memory bank. And once again, I'm going to hold this off to the side here to receive the weather. So that is the weather channel function. Once again, you push VM to get out of that. And you can also push VM and type that weather frequency in there, 162.475. And again, you can get to the weather frequencies directly. Instead of pushing weather and the pre-programmed bands in there, you can actually program it into the radio, which is quite nice. I find the direct keypad entry on this radio pretty intuitive, and I've gotten so used to it over the years that it's like second nature to me. So that's a nice benefit of having this VX7r. Now we're going to do some testing in a little bit to see how well it receives. It's a fully analog radio. There's no real digital components on here in terms of transceiving, so we'll do a little bit of a repeater test in a little bit and see how it sounds. This is KC2 B&W testing with the other VX7R on low power. As you can hear, this is what it sounds like when I'm about an inch away from the mic. And if I go further out, audio becomes lower. If I go back up onto the mic, audio becomes much better. So this is us doing a radio check. This is KC2 B&W Portable doing a radio check. This is KC2 B&W Portable testing 1, 2. KC2 B&W Portable, all clear. This is KC2 B&W Portable testing 70 centimeters. Testing 1, 2. You can hear how the audio sounds on the VX7R. We're using the black one right now, and we're listening on the silver VX7R. Overall, I think the VX7R is an excellent radio for its time and the technology that it brings to the table, being a 23-year-old radio. It's one of the most rugged radios that I've seen on the market, and a wideband reception with it, along with 4 bands of transceiving, makes it a versatile preparedness radio or emergency radio if you're into that. And I would definitely recommend it for anybody who's looking for a very hardy radio that works fairly well on multiple bands. It's a bit old, so one of the cons is that you won't be able to find replacement parts for this and servicing. One thing to note with this VX7R here on the side, in the DC port, if you decide to charge it without the drop-in charger, which you can do, you do run the risk of eventually blowing out the ceramic filters in it. There's 2 of them. The good news is that currently the ceramic filters aren't that expensive to buy, and you can open this radio up and desolder the ceramic filters off of it and replace them with the newer ones, which will work fine with the radio. So the fixing part is that you can fix this. It may take some time and might be challenging for those who are not into repairing electronics or soldering, but you can do it. They used to service this type of radio at Yaesu in California. In fact, I sent 2 of my radios out to them at some point, and they would fix that, and they would also fix another issue that came with the radio, is that the speaker sometimes will develop a tinny sound to it, and it will be distorting a lot easily and lose some of its bass. Now, it's still fully functional, or mostly functional. You can still legibly hear things, but that's a minor thing that happens to the radio over time. It's still waterproof, but the speaker sometimes needs to be replaced because of that. So you might have a hard time finding a replacement speaker if that happens with your radio. Some of the other complaints that, or negative features that people have with the radio, is that the microphone, since it's covered by a waterproof membrane, the audio quality is not as great as other radios on the air. So what I usually do with this particular radio is I get right up onto the mic, very close to it, because there is a membrane covering the mic, and that allows me to get my audio out a little bit better on the air. The other thing is the 1.25 meter, or the 220 megahertz section of it, has such low power that some people don't even consider it a useful item. I still consider it useful, because if I'm on top of a hill, or I have a really good antenna, then it becomes useful. Or if I want something that's very close range and not very populated in terms of people on the frequency, then this becomes an excellent radio. For example, if you go to ham fests or places where everybody's on a certain band, this is sort of like a more quieter private band, if you will. Now, this radio is not digital. It's analog, and there's no encryption, but that still means it's a decent radio to have in any event for emergencies. Overall, it's a good radio. If you can find one for around $150 to about $200 on eBay in a decent condition, working condition at that, you will have yourself a good deal. You can buy batteries for about $23 or so on eBay, thereabouts. So you can buy replacement batteries, and they do sell a battery adapter for the back that contains 2 AA batteries. You want to get the original OEM ones, or some models that are very close to it, because there is a circuit inside that AA case which jumps the voltage up a little bit, and in the aftermarket one, sometimes that causes so much noise that you won't be able to receive very well with those AA battery cases. So that's why you want to get the original OEM one if you can find it. So this radio has a bunch of options, as you can see. There are some negative points to it, but overall, it's a decent radio if you can find one in working condition. That's all I have to say about the Yaesu VX7r. Thank you for watching, and enjoy your day.